Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into something really cool, the art of data transformation. It's basically the magic of turning raw, messy info into something you can actually use, something with real value. You know, I like to think of raw data as this big, uncarved block of marble. It's got all this potential, right? There's beauty, there are secrets hidden inside, but right now, it's just a heavy, shapeless block. To find that masterpiece inside, you've got to have the right tools, you've got to know the right techniques to start chipping away. And that right there, that's the journey we're on today. I mean, look at this. On one side, you've got this chaotic raw block. Total mess, right? Inconsistent entries, weird formats, you can't make heads or tails of it. But on the other side, the finished sculpture. It's clean, it's organized, it's ready to tell you its story. And the magic that gets us from here to there, that's data transformation. So here's how we're going to break it down. We've got 5 key stages in our whole sculpting journey, from finding the basic shape all the way to that final polish. All right, let's get into it. Okay, step 1, finding the form in the data. Just like a sculptor has to see the basic shape in the stone, we need to create new information from what we've already got. This is how we give our analysis its first real shape. We call this feature creation, or you might hear it called feature engineering. It's all about adding new dimensions to our data that weren't there to begin with. So, for example, say you've got a column for units sold and another for price per unit. Well, you can just multiply those two to create a brand new and super useful revenue column. See? You didn't change what the data means, you just made it way more insightful. All right, we've got our basic form. Now it's time to do some polishing. This is all about smoothing out those rough edges, making sure every little detail is consistent and crystal clear. A huge part of this is mapping and replacing. You see this all the time. Your data might have north in all caps in one spot, and then north in lowercase somewhere else. Now, to you and me, that's the same thing, but to a computer, nope, totally different. Mapping lets us fix that, standardizing them into one single category. Oh, and it's also perfect for swapping out codes, like turning NY into the much more friendly New York. And speaking of enhancing, let's talk about dates. Seriously, a single date column is like a hidden treasure chest. You can pull so much out of it. You can break it down to look at trends by year, by month, or hey, even by the day of the week. Find out if sales always spike on a Friday. It turns a simple timestamp into this incredibly powerful tool for seeing patterns over time. Okay, so our data's clean, it's polished. Now we can step back a bit and look at our sculpture from a few different angles. For us, that means grouping things together so we can start to see that bigger picture. And a really powerful way to do that is with a technique called binning. It sounds technical, but it's simple. You just take a range of numbers, like age or income, and you group them into these neat little categories, or bins. It's how we go from looking at every single person to seeing the patterns within different groups. So, for example, instead of trying to analyze thousands of different ages one by one, we can just bin them. So, someone who's 22, they go in the young bucket. Someone who's 45, maybe they're in the senior group. All of a sudden, it's way easier to compare how different age groups behave. Okay, now this is a really important distinction to get. When we talk about groups, there are 2 key things you can do. First, there's aggregation. That's where you squish a whole group down to one number, like the total sales for a region. But then there's transformation. This is a bit different. You calculate something for the group, say the average sale in that region, but then you apply that number back to every single row in that group. So you're adding more context to the individual data, not just summarizing it. But sometimes, cleaning and grouping isn't enough. To really reveal the final form, you need to do something a little more dramatic. We're talking about fundamentally changing the whole layout of your data, just to see it in a completely new way. And the classic way to do that? It's called pivoting. All pivoting does is take a long data set and make it wide. And trust me, this is one of the best ways to create summary tables that are super easy to read. So picture this. Your data is just a long list, right? Every single row is a sale, and you've got columns for the region, the product, and how much it's sold for. This is great for just logging stuff, but if you want to compare how different products are doing in one region, it's kind of a pain. But with the magic of pivoting, that long layout becomes this. See what happened? The different products from that one column, they each got their own column now. So every row is a region, and you can instantly see the sales for all the products, side by side. It's a total game changer for how you view the data. And hey, just for fun, if you ever need to go the other way, from wide back to long, that's called melting. Now, here's the thing. Computers, especially for things like machine learning, they don't really like text. They love numbers. And that's where something called one-hot encoding comes in. It's a super clever way to turn your text categories into numbers. It just takes a column, like product, and makes a new column for every single product. Then it just puts a 1 if that's the right product for that row, and a 0 everywhere else. It sounds simple, but it's how we make our categories understandable for those heavy-duty analytical models. Okay, last big step. Think about it. A master sculptor doesn't just chip away randomly. They have a process, an efficient, repeatable workflow. And that's exactly what we want to do with our data, build a seamless processing pipeline. This brings us to a really cool idea called method chaining. Instead of doing one step, saving it, doing the next step, saving it, you just chain all your commands together. It's literally like an assembly line. Your data goes in one end, and each step flows right into the next, one after another, all in a single, clean process. And doing it this way with a pipeline, it just makes everything so much cleaner and more efficient. Your code is shorter, for one. It's also way easier to read. It's like a story of what you did to the data. Plus, you get rid of all those messy intermediate steps, which means, you guessed it, fewer errors. When you get right down to it, everything we've talked about, creating features, cleaning, grouping, reshaping, it all serves one single powerful purpose. It's just like the quote says, data transformation bridges the gap between raw data and insights. It's the bridge that gets us from that confusing, raw mess to the clear, actionable answers we've been looking for. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that data transformation isn't just some boring technical step you have to get through. No way. It is the absolute foundation of any good analysis. It's where the real craft is. It's preparing the data, reshaping it, and letting every single one of these techniques add a new layer of insight. So, we've walked you through the Sculptor's Workshop. We've shown you the tools. We've seen how to take that raw block of data and start shaping it into something truly meaningful. So now, the only question left for you is, what masterpiece are you going to reveal?